Welcome back to the Evolve podcast. I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm your better host, Brendan.
All right, we'll leave it at that. But for now, pretty much what this podcast is all about is self-development, health and fitness, and our journey starting as brand new business owners.
Let's go. Make sure that you share this around because I'm telling you right now, this is the best podcast you've ever seen.
Enjoy, guys. Ciao. Do you believe politics is slipping away in today's society?
Politics is everywhere. If people aren't engaged or paying attention to it, that it's not interesting to them, then we need to reach out to those people because politics is in everything, absolutely everything that we do.
Yeah. It's a big part of your life as well. What made you get into politics?
The reason I got involved was somebody asked me to run for president of the Labor Party, and I thought about it for a little while and decided why not, because why not a rank and filer from the waterfront in Sydney have a crack. And I've been doing that since 2018. It's an important role in the party, and it should be able to be done by rank and file members. It doesn't always have to be an MP. They've already got a job, like so have I as well, but it's the Maritime Union. But if you think you can contribute to something by being inside the tent, then do it.
For those people that don't know, I feel like there is some sort of progression that you have to go through before you can step into a role that you're in right now. What kind of progression was involved in that? Well,
I was a member of the Labor Party for many years. I'd hand out, I'd go to my branch meetings, I'd, contribute that way, go to national conferences, pass policy and be a part of that whole process. I mean, the Labor Party doesn't just come up with policies for no reason. There's actually conferences and policy put in place by the members of the party. So if you become a member of a party, you can go to these conferences and contribute. You can come up with any idea you want and say, I want to take this to the floor of the Labor Party conference. So that's being involved.
And that's everyone.
Yeah, that's everyone.
Yeah.
You can join a party that most represents your beliefs and then go and be a part of the process and not just sit back and go, they never do anything for me. Go and get it done for yourself. Be a part of it.
Yeah. And you're saying everyone can get involved?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Would you recommend everyone to get involved?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to sit at home and have a whinge and say things aren't right in the world,
which most people do.
Yeah. Or you get off your butt and go and do something about it, and that's with everything. That's with my union work. That's with community itself, like volunteering in a local homeless shelter or things like that. If you think something's wrong, go and have a go at fixing it.
Have a crack.
Yeah, have a crack.
And what was your inflection point? Because I feel like you don't just wake up one day deciding I want to go to the Labor Party and start pushing policies. Where was your inflection point that made you want to start doing stuff like that?
Well, I've always been involved in the union movement, so that's part of it. I've worked for some really bad bosses that treated me badly as an employee, and that made me get involved in the union movement because I wanted to make change there in my workplace. I mean, I first started at McDonald's and they were a terrible boss at the time,
How old were you then?
15, I think. Yeah. And if you're treated badly by bosses, then you want to get involved in making change in that workplace.
Yes.
So you become a union member and you become a union delegate and then you go and do all those things. And so that's the same thing as the Labor Party. It's the same as wanting to make change in society, in the community, and you do that through these processes.
100%. I feel like in that inflection point that you had, a lot of people go through that process. We speak to a lot of business owners, and I feel like a lot of business owners that we know or we speak to, they have a point where they don't like their boss, they don't like the way they were treated. So what they do is they become a boss. Mm-hmm. But what you decided was, let me actually go bigger scale and change policies so then all bosses across the board are in line in that method.
Yeah, I have gone the complete opposite way to being a boss. But yeah, I mean, and some people that become bosses become bad bosses too because they were treated badly, and that's not good either. But if you're a worker that's got a boss, you should be in a union because, one voice is very small, and the union is a louder voice because all the voices are together. So,
yeah. And how do you get your voice out there? Is it through social media or?
Yeah, oftentimes through social media. I think that's probably one of the biggest ways to do it. Podcasts are great like this. I think during COVID, everyone started listening to things that they'd never listened to before, and obviously some things they shouldn't listen to. But there was some wacky stuff going on out there. But you've got to use every available avenue to get your voice out there. A lot of our rallies that we have against big employers and that sort of thing are very public, visible events like shutting the streets down and, you know, marching through the streets like we do on May Day and that sort of thing. So we're very visible doing that stuff. But yeah, any available opportunity to get your voice out there, do it.
There we go.
How did you go about backing yourself?
That's a good one. It's really hard. When you run for office and you run for positions in political office, it's very difficult and there's a lot of people against you. Standing in the mirror every morning and looking yourself in the eye and chanting. I won't tell you what I was chanting, but you've got to give yourself a pep up to get out the door sometimes. I used to have to walk into events that I was afraid to go into. I'd have a song that I'd play in my AirPods, and then as soon as that song was over, I'd just walk through the door like I was ready to, you know,
ready to go,
bash the thing down.
Yeah.
But you know, you need to back yourself, and it is hard, especially when, you know, it was in the media as well, and the media are attacking me, and so it hurts you. You've got to ring your family sometimes and go, don't read the paper tomorrow, but you just got to keep going.
We find that with a lot of the people that we talk to, there is that backing yourself is a very hard thing to do, especially when there's backlash in industries all over the globe. With fighting those, how did you overcome them?
Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes it fell apart.
Yeah.
But if you believe in it, if you really, really believe in it, you'll do it anyway. Like, you just got to get up and go and do it. Like, put your feet on the floor in the morning, step up, look yourself in the mirror, say whatever you've got to say, listen to that song, and just go and just have a crack.
Yeah.
Because it's what you believe in.
Have you... Yeah, sorry to cut you
right.
off.
No, you're right. It's again.
Have you always been like that? Has that been you growing up?
I've always been pretty tough.
Yeah.
My dad, who passed away in December at 92, was a tough guy, and his mantra was always, "She'll be right, mate."
She'll be right.
You know,
I like that one.
Many times I've said to myself, "It'll be okay." Like, she'll be right, mate. She'll be right, Bob. He used to say to me.
Yeah.
And it usually is. What are you afraid of? You know, it's like fear, and fear is a terrible, terrible thing. I used to be afraid of flying because I'm not flying the plane. If I was flying the plane, I'd be fine. You know what I mean? It's an act of surrender. You've just got to, get over your fears and just keep going.
Yeah.
They do say that fear is a mile wide and an inch deep.
Yeah.
So it looks scary on the outlook, but once you step into it, you're like, oh, it wasn't that scary.
Just a little puddle.
That's right.
It's just a little puddle. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be afraid of flying before COVID, and then I realised there was something bigger out there that I should be afraid of.
Yeah.
And now you're travelling all the time.
And now I always travelled all the time, but I was terrified of it. You know, if the little bump, I'd be holding the ceiling of the plane for a second or two.
You might stabilise it with your hands on.
You just got to realise that you can't control it, and you can't control everything, and step into it and have a go anyway. I mean, people that don't get on planes because they are afraid of it are missing so much. You know?
Oh, yeah. As a leader...
Miss 3 weeks in Italy if you can't get on a plane.
Yeah, exactly.
You're never going to see it.
Yeah, that's right.
As a leader, what's a big lesson that changed the way that you lead others?
Someone once said to me, can I swear? No.
Yeah, of course you can.
There's nothing that you can fuck up that I can't fix.
Oh.
And I went, all right.
There's nothing that you can fuck up that I can't fix.
Yeah. So another leader was that, had more power than I did.
Yeah.
Said, just have a go, and if you mess it up, I'll fix it. So that was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my favourite.
I like that one.
Yep.
So you had someone to sort of look up to, and did you have a role model growing up, or?
Yeah, there's always role models. Obviously, my dad. My dad was a policeman and just had good morals and ethics, and he was just a good guy. So yeah, he was definitely one of my role models. But along the way in the industry, on the waterfront, I had a role model there. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I had a role model there that looked after me and taught me how to become a delegate on the waterfront. And then when I joined the union, started working for the union, there was an official there that put me under his wing, and he was the one that gave me that saying. So, there's always people that back you, and once you got those, you're good.
In a position of leadership, though, there's not too many people above you, is there? So in terms of like that mantra, if I fuck up, someone else will fix it.
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
Well, so as soon as I got elected as Assistant National Secretary of the Union, I realised that I was that person that had to fix it.
Yeah.
So there was a moment where I went, oh, I can't blame anyone for this. I'm going to have to make sure I get this right. So once you get there, you've got to make sure that you get it right, and then you've got to make sure that the people next to you are supported and brought along the journey as well.
Yeah.
So that they can become leaders too, because leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders.
Yes.
What was the first day like stepping into that whole new world of yours?
Hectic.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I don't cry a lot. You have to stab me to make me cry usually, but but every now and again you just burst into tears and just lose it completely. But no. Well, stepping into the role for the union, I've been working for the union for a long time, and I love the job, and I love the industry, and it's my calling. So I was very, very proud to do it. So that wasn't a problem. First day of the Labor Party, after being elected, is the national conference. So you're on stage at the national conference and you're cheering. It's like, what am I doing here? But you get through it.
Yeah. How was that experience talking in front of people?
Yeah, mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be afraid of public speaking. There's that fear again. And you just keep doing it, you get better at it, and it doesn't bother you anymore. And then you love it.
I like
There
that.
we go.
With, obviously, to preface for everyone that's watching, the way we connected is through our mate Adrian, and Adrian's your coach.
Yep.
How long have you been doing personal training with him for?
I think I've been with Adrian for about a year. I'm not sure. Yeah. So I went a couple of years ago. I saw a photo of myself with some of my members of the union and realised that I'd put on a lot of weight and freaked out. I was standing in my kitchen and I yelled at myself. I said, "Have a look at yourself. Have a look at yourself." And I went on a journey by myself for about a year and a half and lost 28 kilos.
Oh, wow.
And then I ran into Adrian at one of the gyms and he started doing the PT for me because I'd lost it so quick. I'd had no muscle.
Yeah.
I was just
So you need to
I was just
strengthen up.
thinner. Yeah. But yeah, he's helped me and now we're doing weightlifting and I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Great. Yeah,
Obsessed with it?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I just started boxing as well recently.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Good form of cardio.
That's
Scary?
hard. Yeah. Because you forget how to skip. Like I could skip when I was 6. I can't when I'm 52. So I was at a PCYC trying to skip in front of these kids and they were just laughing at me. I was like,
Yeah, because they were just been doing it so easy.
and doing the crossover thing. I'm just like,
Oh, no.
righto.
I'll just
Show-offs.
skip.
I was just pretending I wasn't even using the rope.
How important has health and fitness been for your career?
That's a really good question. I didn't realise that I wasn't fit until I got fit. I can do so much more. I can work longer hours. I can do more for my members and for the jobs that I do because I just feel better.
Yeah. So you say it's like assisted your career in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did a girl from Newcastle find her way to the docks of Port Botany?
That's a really good question. So I said McDonald's earlier, but I did a bunch of hospitality jobs and then I worked for the National Australia Bank, came to Sydney as a bank manager and then got robbed a couple of times and just hated it and they were bad bosses. So I went and worked at the pub next door and then found an ad for the paper.
This is in the city, right?
Yeah, in Bondi Junction, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I found an ad in the paper for state transit buses and I started bus driving. So I did that for about 18 months. And then someone came and said they're looking for women on the waterfront, Port Botany, who are interested. And I went, sure, give that a crack. Started there a week later. So I was a wharfie for 10 years.
Yeah.
Doing all the things, lashing, driving cranes, straddle carriers, all that sort of thing. So, and then just started working for the union after that.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a journey.
The way you've spoken about your journey, it feels to me that you're saying that things fell into your lap in some way.
Sometimes.
But I truly believe that you've put yourself in those situations in some way.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've left jobs because I was going nowhere and I hated it.
Yeah.
You just can't stay in a job you hate. And because I did that, then an opportunities come along. And you talk to people along the way and things do come to you sometimes. Sometimes you can be lucky, but I guess leaving bad places has put me to good places, and you've ended up. I mean, when you end up where you're supposed to be, here's where I was.
I'm glad I did
Here's
it.
where I was supposed to be all the time.
Yeah.
You find your place, and you realise that was your life's mission, I guess.
Yeah.
And how would you teach people to take that risk? Because it is a risk and it's a bit of a leap.
Yeah. I mean, I left being a bank manager to work in a pub. And
That's
it's
a big
terrifying.
change.
Yeah, it's a big change. It's terrifying because it's not, not the same money and all that sort of thing. But if you're not happy, you just got to. You've only got one life. It's, what's the point? It's the point of doing a crap job. And if you don't love it, get out.
Like it was good money for you, but you're like, I want to be happier doing something else.
Yeah, definitely. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
You keep doing it and you move up the ranks in the bank, but you still don't get any happier. So what's the point?
Oh yes, new promotion.
What's been one of the toughest internal challenges with all those changes in your life?
Probably relationships suffer. I've been single for a long time just because the work that I do is all-consuming. And I've lost relationships because they've just said, oh, it's all about the union. It's like, well, sorry.
It's my life.
It kind of is. Yeah, it's about the members of my union. It's not, sorry if it's not about you today. I've got to go do something on a Sunday or I've got to work late at night or, so that's an internal challenge. Relationships suffer. But who cares?
Yeah. You're here now talking about it, being open and honest.
Rhiannon always talks about the fact that people can only have 5 priorities at one time. And what he means by that is your relationships, your career or your business, your family. Like you can only focus on a few things at once.
Okay.
And your top 2 or your top few priorities are always going to take precedence over your last few. Mm-hmm. And that means the things that you don't prioritize as much, you're going to spend less and less time on.
Yep.
So for you, would you say your career has always been higher on your priority list than your relationships?
Yeah, but I'm not calling it my career. It's my calling. Like it's what I was always supposed to do. Like it's I do what I do because I want to help people, and it has been a priority. But I just wouldn't say I've focused on my career. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not about me. It's been about just doing the work and making a difference, I guess. And if I've done that in some way even for one person, then it's been worthwhile.
Tell us a little bit about the Maritime Union of Australia.
Yeah, well, we're a very tough union. We're only very small, but we represent waterfront workers, ferry workers, offshore divers, seafarers in shipping as well as on offshore oil rigs and that sort of thing. It's a great industry. We've only got 8% females in the industry. So that's why I wanted to have a go, because it was like, let's bring those numbers up.
Yeah.
And there's some incredible people that work for the Maritime Union, and also our members are amazing. They really do hard jobs, shift work, tough jobs and dangerous jobs, and they get paid well for it because we fight so hard for them as a union. So,
So you guys essentially fight for the rights of the people that work on the docks, work on the shores.
Yeah, that's right.
Bring any sort of boat into the harbour.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's huge. So all of Australia.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. The workload would be
It's a big job.
by the shipload. No pun intended.
By the shipload, I like
You were dying to use
Yeah,
that.
I was egging that one on.
I used to call it a ship, not a boat.
Yeah.
We hate people when they call them boats.
Okay. I'm glad I called it a ship.
That's a shitload of work, that one.
We could do this all day. It's a great industry. And if anyone's interested in getting involved and wants to go to sea, especially we've got a shortage of seafarers right now.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have people come along, because it's a great career. I mean, some of these jobs, they earn good money, and you can go away for 6 weeks and then you've got 6 weeks off paid, so it's like you go and do some great stuff, see the country, sail around the coast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But what is it that you do to rally up the people to come and work?
Oh, there's a queue mainly, usually for the
Okay.
waterfront. There's definitely always
It's an
people
in-demand job?
Sorry?
Very in-demand job?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, everyone wants to get in. Seafaring is a little different because you've got to explain the job to people, but, it's family members usually that come along. So it's like it's generations and generations of people that work in the industry.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's how we've
So it gets,
gotten a
like,
lot of the
passed
women
down.
in as well, because, their dads or their brothers or whatever
beautiful.
work. So, it's been great. And, I mean, they say that it's nepotism, and we get bagged a bit by the Liberals about that, but it's it's better to have family there. You know what I mean? Like with the Sydney Ferries is like a one big family. You know,
Yeah.
this particular waterfront place is like one big family, and we'll do anything for our members and each other. Like if someone falls on hard times, you know, someone passes away, we'll rally around and get some money for their family and that sort of thing. Like it's a really caring bunch of people in our industry. They're really great.
Yeah, I remember going to Taronga Zoo on the ferry. Like that was a whole family experience going on that ferry. Every time I got to the city, it was bang, straight on the ferry across the water straight to Taronga Zoo.
There would have been MUA members on there. Yep, for sure.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you were in charge of everyone that was working on those ferries and
No.
Okay.
So we've all got different responsibilities as officials. So we've got different employers that we look after. So it depends. I don't have the ferries, but I have some of the shipping and some of the some stevedoring industries. But different ones.
When you explain it like that, you see that the hierarchy. So obviously you're at the top and everyone. No.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But no.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys see yourself as like one.
I'm an elected official. Yes, okay. I've got a role that's at this level.
Yeah.
But that's a level of responsibility. Not, Not that I'm better than the rest of the members.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
If the members don't want to do what my suggestion, then they'll tell me so, and I have to do what they say, which is fine because that's how it works. You know, like when we put together a log of claims for an enterprise agreement.
Yep.
They come to us and say, this is what we want put in here. And that's what we go and negotiate for.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a level of responsibility, not a level of hierarchy. I don't see it that way anyway.
Obviously, us being youthful, we don't really learn too much about the politics of, we just think someone's at the top and there's people underneath that work.
Yeah.
But it's not
like
that.
a business.
Like a business, but it's not like
it's
that.
It's a collective, yeah. And we all work together. One common goal is to make sure we've got good, decent, well-paid jobs for our workers and we all do that together.
In terms of, you mentioned before the way you talked about the fact that what you do is more your life's passion and not a career. How would you explain that to someone that doesn't understand?
To me, if you're career focused and driven, you're doing it because you love it. But are you doing it for money, or are you doing it for success or power, or what are you doing it for?
What's your reason why?
Yeah, what's your why? You know, if that's exactly the reason why I've left places, because that wasn't in my why. You know, why am I doing this? Like, it's just, I just don't, you know, like if I was doing it for money, I certainly wouldn't be working as a union official.
Yes.
But it's for the love of it, it's for the passion, and it's for, I don't know, something inside you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That deep meaning just to make you want to do more and wake up the next day.
Yeah.
Like that's a different type of drive.
Yeah.
Growing up, obviously coming from Newcastle to the big city, did you have that fight, that drive when you were younger and going into this role?
I don't know. I was thinking about that the other week, actually. I was like, I think there's just moments where you just realise that there's injustice out there and there's inequality and you want to do something to fix it. So there's a lots of little triggers along the way that make you get angry.
Of course.
You know, anger, hope, action is the union mantra. So like if people are angry about something, you've got to give them hope and then you've got to take action to change it. So
say that again. What was that? What was the mantra?
Anger, hope, action. So
Anger,
if something
hope,
makes
action.
you angry, homeless people on the street or the pothole out in the street,
Yeah.
you've got to give someone hope. How are they going to fix it? And then take the action. You
Wow,
get it done.
I like that. Is that your mantra?
No. But it's an old saying, it's a union movement sort of kind of thing.
It is.
You know,
Okay.
when people are angry about something, they want to do something. So you give them hope to be able to change it.
Yeah.
And then you go and take the action together and you can achieve anything.
Clean Up Australia Day. This sort of movement similar to that, isn't it?
Yeah. All sorts of collective, things that happen around the country are part of the reason they started, because people got angry and wanted to make change. So
Yeah.
you band
give them
together and
hope,
you do it.
People come together and they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there things that are going to be changing with the Maritime Union?
I hope not. If we don't keep this government in, maybe, yeah. We always struggle under Conservative coalition governments. They attacked our shipping industry. They destroyed our shipping industry. In fact, we used to have 110 Australian flag ships. We've only got 8 now. And the Labor government's going to bring back Australian shipping. So there's jobs for young kids that want to go to sea. Politics is in everything. And it's very important that you have progressive governments that want to do stuff for workers and good industries in Australia and build things again and whatever. So it's important. Important week to go.
Yeah.
You mentioned before that in the maritime or in the seafarers, there's only 8% are women.
All maritime is
All
8%.
of maritime,
yeah.
8% women. Do you feel like part of your calling is to change that statistic?
Yeah, so my first job for the union was as a women's officer, which was
Yeah.
to try and get women into the industry and keep the women that were in the industry and make sure there was good policies for women. There was a lot of unfamily-friendly policies in the industry. You know, women, it just wasn't attractive to them. It's shift work, it's hard work, it's that sort of thing. Women can do anything. I'm not saying that hard work's a problem, but you've just got to make sure the policies are there and they've got appropriate protective equipment that fits them. And like, it's just the simple things to make sure that
Yeah, because I'm just thinking like helmet size and jackets and all that kind of stuff. Right?
overalls. I mean, the crutch on my overalls used to be halfway down to my knees, you know, because they
Yeah.
were men's overalls. You
Yeah.
know, it's just you just got to make sure that things are in place so that women want to come and work in the industry. Our highest percentage of women is in the ferries, Spirit of Tasmania plus Sydney Harbour and those, because they're jobs that they can go home at night.
Okay.
So seafaring's difficult, especially if they want to have a family, but
They want to be at home with the family more.
yeah, that's right. It's difficult. I mean, the waterfront's perfect for women because you can be flexible. You know, they can come and work day shift or afternoon shift, whatever suits their family schedules. And there's a lot of women on the waterfront now, so that's great. So
it's actually improving over time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they had to create a locker room when I started for us. And
Yeah.
some of the guys got the shits because they did a locker room for 40 years. It was like, sorry.
So you stole their locker room.
yeah.
So, guys, where do you see the industry being in 5 years' time?
Oh, we've got to battle with automation. We're trying not to let the ports become automated because you lose jobs and it's not as efficient as actual people driving machines. And the last thing we want is more automation in our industry and any industry because the jobs go away. And if we didn't go to university, we're not intellectual driven people. You know, we like to drive things and change
Be
things and move
hands-on,
things and if those jobs go away, where do we work? If manufacturing jobs go away, where do we work? It's so you've got to make sure that there's a balance between what's automated and what's not. I mean, automation can be good for some things to make it less dangerous or better for people's bodies and that sort of thing. But who loses in the end is that hundreds and thousands of jobs go away.
Yeah, it's very true. Because far out, how many jobs would be gone if it's all automated?
Yeah, that's right. There's
Thousands.
500 jobs on one work site on a waterfront. So
Wow.
I mean,
Just one little waterfront.
In that way, they're trying to produce efficiency to obviously improve the economy from a financial perspective in that way, lowering wage costs and everything like that.
Yeah,
which-
they're just trying to make more profit.
more profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
The
Let
biggest
a machine
debate-
do my job instead of
Yeah,
paying me
let the machine do it.
$100,000, Yeah.
Yeah. In that sense, I feel like a big debate in the political space in Australia is that Liberal drive the economy up, Labor drive the economy down. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they left us with a huge debt and we've fixed it. There's a cost of living crisis, yes,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely not the responsibility of this Labor government. The Liberals did the worst economic management in their last two terms before Labor got elected, and it's just rubbish. And they'll keep spinning it. And I've had debates with people that are lefties that are on Labor's side that still think the Liberals managed the economy better. They just didn't. They're about big business. They're not about working class people. So
Yeah. So they're not about the small business, they're about the big corporations.
yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Dutton's hand in hand with Gina Reinhardt, like the richest woman in Australia. Like, how's that going to be good for you?
Yeah.
It's
How's it
not.
good for the working class person?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Have you had people come to you with these sort of questions and how have you answered them?
Well, as best I can,
Yeah.
and with the truth, which is what you don't get from the other side, I guess. But and you were saying before, how young people aren't engaged in politics.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up again.
You've really got to pay attention because if you, like I said before about anger, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention because you should be angry because things could be better, always could be better, and you need to pay attention to make sure that you're choosing the right thing, especially election time. You make sure that you're voting for the right people or making sure your preferences count and that sort of thing. I mean, voting is complicated enough to get across to people that have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
It's really important for young people to make sure they pay attention to get it right.
And that's what you'd say to people that would go there, write a smiley face and put it in the bin.
That just drives me crazy. You know, I've handed out at every election since I was 18.
Yeah.
People that think that's funny really are. People around the world have died for the right to vote. Women have died fighting for the right for women to vote. You know, like, get over yourself. Like, just how long does it take you? You've got to go there anyway. Get a sausage, you know, go and fill out your form. Do it properly because it's important. And one vote can make a big difference.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in some elections. Some seats have gone down to the wire where they've been won by 7 votes.
Oh, wow.
You know, if those 7 people didn't turn up that day or wrote a smiley face, then a different outcome would happen. You know, like it's so important and it doesn't hurt you, you know, to get it right.
Yeah.
You know, be a part of it. Be part of change or make change happen or choose the person you want to represent you.
So do your research.
Yeah. Get involved. Yeah. Pay attention.
From going so analog to now literally focusing on a digital platform or on podcast or watching us like this, how's that been for the politics side of things? Have you noticed that people get really sucked into the social media world with politics?
Yeah, and it's really easy for someone to have an opinion and say it
and follow through with it
and get a lot of people to see their opinion. No matter whether it's right or wrong or horrible. You know, I've been on some attacks on social media that have been, you know, quite vile because people can sit behind their phone in their lounge and say whatever they want to anyone.
Like hate comments.
Yeah,
And
instead of getting the old spray can and writing on a brick wall down the railway station, you know, they can do it online now. But and I think also, I mean, when I went to school, I had nuns that used to rap me across the knuckles if I was using my pen wrong. And now it's like, you know, everything's digital. It's just insane.
different world.
Yeah, it is. But there's so many ways people can contact you.
Yeah.
It's like
email.
someone sent me a message through
Newsletter.
TikTok the other day. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
oh, come on. There's like 19 other ways that you can contact me.
And are you being more present on social media now?
Yeah, I always am.
More than normal?
Not lately. I've been on holidays, but on long service leave. But union fought for long service leave. Yeah, I will be. There's a limit to when we can use social media up to an election as well. So there's a blackout from the Thursday night before the election.
Oh.
So we're not allowed to use media outlets then.
Wow, so you turn all phones off and...
Oh no, we don't turn them off, but you know we still follow the bouncing ball.
Of course,
but you're just
course.
not allowed to post things or advertise and that sort of thing. So there's rules around all that
Okay,
people
interesting.
don't know. Yeah.
I never knew that.
There you go.
Is there rules to what you post even outside of those windows?
Yeah, so everything's got to be authorised. If you're, promoting a political party or doing a political message, it's got to have an authorisation on it. And that can be anyone. Our authorisation for our union comes from our national secretary, so Paddy Crumlin. Most of the Labor Party stuff comes from the national secretary, Paul Erickson. It has to have a proper political authorisation on the bottom of it, or it's illegal. So
The world that you live in sounds crazy. How do you balance everything? How do you balance your life and your career and everything like that?
Life's mission.
My life's mission,
Yeah.
my career. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
I went and got groceries and voted and went to the gym before I came here this morning. But you just got to get up early. I'm up at 5
There you
every
go.
day, so
Yep.
That gives you a lot more wiggle room as well.
yeah. And that's my dad used to say, you burn in daylight if you're up later. So you've got to be up before the sun. If I get up any later than that, I feel like I've lost hours, and it's catch up all day. So you've just got to get as much done as you can, and do it strategically. Like if you're going here, what can I get done on the way to that? That can knock something off the list. Yeah.
Carpe diem, seize the day.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. I bought a T-shirt like that in Rome.
Did you?
You should have worn it today.
I should have.
Just stood like this.
This episode is brought to you by Dynamicrecov. You're not lazy, you're just busy. But let me ask you this. How much longer are you going to let your health take a backseat to your calendar? You already know what to do. Train, eat well, stay consistent, but knowing isn't the problem. Doing it while running a business, managing a team, or raising a family, that's where most people fall flat. At Dynamicrecov, we coach high-performing professionals to take back control without adding more to your plate. We give you a clear plan, real accountability, and full access to our coaching team right from your phone. Use code EVOLVE at checkout to get 50% off your first week. That's EVOLV. Hit the link in the show notes. Start now before later turns into never. Now let's get back to the episode.
Now, I probably brought it up a little bit too prematurely in the beginning of the podcast, but we spoke very early on about how Adrian's your coach and you've been training and doing all that stuff. Do you, with the balance of your life and everything like that, having the health and fitness in your life, what's been like the number one thing you've consistently told yourself in your head to make you want to come to the gym again and again and again?
Some days I just don't. I just can't get there. I just can't be bothered. I mean, it's really hard. But I guess I think the best thing at the beginning of my fitness journey was as soon as you started to see results, it was like, I want more of that.
When was that first point for you?
After you lost first 4 kilos.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was your
like,
big like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I can do this.
Yeah. And they say you shouldn't stand on the scales every day, but I stand on the scales twice a day just to check things.
Yeah.
But,
And like snowboard from there.
yeah, and it's an obsession. It becomes an obsession and you want to keep going. And once you see results, it's the same as anything, like same as in the union movement is if you see results, then people are getting paid better in better conditions, then you want to keep doing more of that.
Yeah.
So,
And you're going to work harder.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
How important has it been for you to have a coach there for you to guide you along the way?
So important.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I lost my weight by walking on a treadmill and doing hand weights.
Started simple.
And that was it. Yeah, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then when I met Adrian, it was like, show me how to use all these things in the gym. Because I'd walk in there some days and just read the instructions and just go,
what is that?
To do with that? Like it just,
So
you lay
confusing.
down on it. Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, that's how you do that thing.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest thing. And people are afraid of going to try and do that too sometimes. I mean, just a woman walking to the gym by herself, just standing there and everyone else knows what they're doing and just like, oh.
Was that really daunting for you that first time?
It is a bit, yeah, because I don't like to be embarrassed. So, if you go and do something wrong and there's a guy that's been training for 40 years next to you that's like really fit, just go, oh, she's an idiot.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that person. So personal training, having a personal trainer is amazing to help you with that. And they become your mates too. He's a bit of a rat bag. I had to message him from the Arsenal game that I went to in London and send him photos.
Oh, he showed us the photos and the videos.
Oh, that was insane.
That would have been a crazy game.
Yeah.
What was it, Real
It was
Madrid?
nice to
Real
rub it in,
Madrid.
right?
Sorry?
It was nice to rub it in.
Yeah. It was an incredible game. And then we won again. So
Do you feel like being a leader for yourself has made you become a better leader for others? Because you talked about talking to yourself in the mirror and pep talking yourself up. So being that leader for you, like in the mirror, being like, okay, we're doing this. Do you feel like it's replicated being a leader for the union as well?
I don't know if this answers your question, but I think people inspire other people without knowing it. You can just be you and average, an average person, and still be inspiring someone. So I think as long as you do your best for what you believe in every day, then you're being a leader in a sense, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in a position or elected role to be a leader or to inspire someone and change someone's life. So I think people inspire people without you even knowing that you do it. So I think just
like
being
that.
your best person, being the best of you.
Yeah, 100%. I do like that. But I also do think that not everyone should be in a leadership role as well.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's not everyone's thing. I mean, not everyone wants to go and stand in front of people and
Speak about their views and stuff like that.
And not people are terrified of that. It's fear
But
again.
knowing that they might have the wrong views too.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
push the wrong agendas,
Yeah.
and that might snowball into something negative too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
Yeah.
there have been some bad leaders in our time.
They sure have. I
Yeah.
wish people did inspire them to be leaders, but that's true. Absolutely right. You can see that in world politics. There's plenty out there that should never have reached the positions that they're in because they're dangerous people. And I think that's true.
No dropping names, but everyone kind of knows who we're talking about.
I think so. But, there's a couple of leaders out there that are just, terrifyingly dangerous to society and to good, decent people are going to be affected by the policies that they put in. So whoever inspired them to run for politics, boo.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe there's such a thing as healthy obsessions?
Yes.
There is.
You hope we're one word answers, don't you? Yeah, there is. There's healthy obsessions. I mean, health and fitness is a healthy obsession as long as you don't go too far. But I'm obsessed with the work that I do, and I think that's a healthy thing because it makes things better.
Mm. There is a lot of talk on social media that getting obsessed with something is not good for your mental health and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe that myself, but what are your thoughts on that topic?
No, there is things that you can become obsessed with that aren't good for you, of course.
Yeah.
And that leads into, obsession is also a form of addiction, I guess, as well. And, obviously addiction to anything is not great. There's a lot of mental health problems out there because of people who become obsessed by something and addicted to things. So, you're right. I think
there is levels and stuff.
Yeah.
But where do you know where to draw the line?
Oh, when it starts doing you no good. When things are affecting you in a bad way, and it's not doing you any good, you've got to change that. You've got to make a change.
Yeah.
And figure out how to do that. And sometimes you need people to help you.
You need people to help you. And how would you describe it to someone that doesn't understand that? Like, let's paint a picture that someone starts this weight loss journey and they start doing all these things. They start tracking their weight every single day. They start tracking their calories. They start going to the gym every day. It starts becoming obsessive and they get to a level where they are becoming obsessed in that way. When would you say that there's a line that if you cross this, it's actually going to it's going to be worse for you?
They're going to have to realise it themselves.
Okay.
Something, parts of other parts of their lives are going to be affected. You can't tell people. You have to realise it yourself at some point.
It's something you can't teach.
Like an alcoholic at some point is going to realise that my job's being affected or my life's being affected because I'm drinking too much. But like a smoker, you can't tell a smoker to stop smoking. Doesn't matter what you say to them, they are not going to stop smoking. It has to be a trigger for them, and it's always it has to be you that makes that decision. I think to make a change to stop that obsession or whatever that is. Yeah. I mean, you can help people. You can talk gently to them and try to guide them to health providers and things that will help them change their thoughts about it. But change has to come from within always. You've got to figure it out yourself. There'll be a moment that you'll snap, you'll realise. Yeah.
You make that realisation and be like, yep, I've got to change.
Yeah, well, if all I'm doing is going to the gym and I haven't washed my clothes for a week and there's sinks full of dishes, you'll walk into your house one day and go, why haven't I had time to do that? Oh, it's because I'm doing this other thing.
It's because I'm obsessed in this other area of my life.
Yeah.
What do you believe makes a great leader in Australia?
Compassion. Yeah. You got to care about people. You've got to be compassionate. You've got to care about others that aren't as lucky or as fortunate or in the place that you are. And if, you see it every day. You always see people every day that are not as fortunate as you or not doing as well as you or whatever. You got to show compassion to that person and want to change things for them, I guess.
And spark change in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you care about people, then you should go and do something about it.
100%. How do you feel like you've gone through your mission and inspired others to follow the route that you have?
I don't know. I hope I have inspired some people, but I think what I said before is just be the best version of yourself, and other people will hopefully want to be better versions of themselves or follow in your footsteps or go and join your industry or go and be a waterfront worker because I did, like if it wasn't for those 3 girls that walked in that day in 1999 to Patrick's at Port Botany, then there might not be any more women there. So and turn around behind you every now and again or next to you and pull someone along. Bring someone along with you, share the journey, and show other people how to do what you do.
Yeah.
If you're good at something, do that and share it. Don't keep it to yourself.
How do you decompress? How do you just relax? How do you focus on you?
I don't really relax ever. I do long hours. Like I said, I'm up at 5. I go to bed about midnight. I don't have to be up that long, but it's just I only need 5 hours sleep. But it's a good solid 5 hours. I'm out. But I don't know. I relax, go to the pub, speak to mates, hang out, that sort of thing. But you do need to do it every now and again. And you've got to blow off some steam somehow. The gym, it's good for that.
Gym's a good way to just decompress, get all the stress off your shoulders, pump out a few sets and walk out a bit wider than you did when you walked in.
I used to work in a pub that had a boxing bag in the cellar.
Yeah.
So if you had a rude customer, you could go down there and just punch into that for 5 seconds. It was great. It's a really good way to do
idea.
it. Yeah, it is a good idea.
One.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a left field question to the side and away from what we were just speaking about. But you've championed your workplace around health and safety. How important has that been for the union?
Oh, health and safety is the most important thing. Our industry is really dangerous. We've had deaths on the waterfront. We've had deaths in seafaring. And they're not just, someone passes away. They are horrific injury deaths. And you've got to make sure that you do everything right all the time and make sure you've got good policies in to save people's lives because it is a very dangerous industry. So that is important to us, really important.
What's been one of the more recent things that you've changed?
And health and safety?
Yeah.
Probably, we've been campaigning for, it's sort of a little bit off the track, but it's not, domestic violence leave in the industry, but it's now law under government. But that's a health and safety issue. If people can't get to work because they're in a violent relationship or, in hospital from violence, we need to make sure they've got leave so that they can keep their jobs. And recently our union Sydney branch has put in what's called solidarity domestic violence leave. So say your sister's in a domestic violence relationship, you could take leave to go and help her move house or go to the doctor or go to lawyers and that sort of thing. So it's called solidarity leave. So you could take an extra couple of days off to go and to assist someone escape domestic violence. So
was that something that you were a part of?
No, it was actually a Sydney branch initiative. But yeah, to extend it to do that. All of us are a part of it because we're trying to get into all of our enterprise agreements. So, yeah, it's important.
How have the DB statistics been looking recently?
They're pretty horrible.
Yeah.
We saw that young girl killed in Terrigal the other day. It's just horrific. At least one woman a week dies at the hand of a partner or former partner.
Has it increased?
Yeah.
Over the past couple of years?
Oh, it's always increasing.
Always increasing?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I will never understand why someone does it. So it's hard for me to answer that question.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of pressures on people, society or whatever, and their workload or, cost of living crisis or the mortgage or whatever it is, but it shouldn't lead to, you killing someone.
Yeah.
I have bad days too, but I never want to kill anyone.
Punch a boxing bag.
Yeah, punch a boxing bag.
So I feel like it was very high during COVID when everyone was living at home. They weren't living the normal lives they had. Do you feel like that statistic has gone down since then or has actually stayed the same and gone up?
Not actually sure. I haven't had a look at that. That'd be interesting. But I do know that there was a movement during COVID for victims of domestic violence to be able to signal to their workmates or friends via Zoom to say that they were in trouble.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there was a whole global movement of making a hand signal over Zoom to...
What was it? I think it was that one.
Yeah, it was that one, to tell someone to reach out. Yes, secret code. It was like... It's like there's codes you've got in pubs. If you're being harassed by someone, you can go and say something to the barmaid. You've got to say a certain name.
Yes.
And they'll help you. It's that sort of thing. We shouldn't have to do this, but we do.
Just increased over the years now to the point where it comes down to hand signals and names.
Yeah.
How has your identity evolved? You started at Macca's and now you're a politician. How did it evolve over those periods of time?
I guess the different things that you do change you, and the different workplaces you work in change you. You get tougher or you get better at something, or I think, I was a shy little girl that worked at McDonald's until the boss had to go at me one day, and I found a voice and I went, whoops. But that you're doing it for the right reasons and it's okay. But I think everyone changes. You change daily, yearly. It's the things around you that change you, and you just roll with it or you don't, I guess.
It's average. We had someone on the podcast that said kill or be killed.
Ooh.
And
Violent?
he meant it from, I guess, a business perspective. And when he was talking about it, it was more about the fact that if you're not constantly trying to improve yourself and constantly trying to learn and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit of a violent way to say it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, I get it, but I don't think if you're not constantly trying to do something that you're not going to get anywhere. I think, you can still be good at what you do and be successful without really having to work too hard or push too hard, or you don't have to go back to university or whatever. You can do anything you want, just by having a go at it. I don't know. That's really interesting.
You can just have a crack.
Yeah, just have a crack.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Have a crack and
is that
she'll
what
be
this podcast
right.
has been called? Michelle says, have a crack.
Have a crack and she'll be right.
She'll be right.
Has that always been your mantra?
She'll be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Dad.
Yep. From Dad.
How have you inputted that into what you do and your passion?
A lot of times when things go wrong, you've just got to believe that it's going to be okay. And it usually is. Unless someone dies, there's a way to fix it. There's an end result that, can't be undone, but I think if you just believe that it's going to be okay, you'll figure out how to make it okay. There's always a way.
There's always a way.
Mm.
And what's your take on equality in leadership?
Oof. It's a really good one. There's not enough women in the Liberal Party. I know that. No, they've actually declined in their numbers running for this election. So the Labor Party's got over 50% elected MPs.
Over 50%?
That are women, yeah. It was our policy for many, many years. A woman named Linda White brought that to the floor of the National Conference.
Yep.
So one person brought it to the floor of the National Conference, the Labor Party, and it became policy. And we implemented that. So there's 50% is the rule all the time.
Yeah.
And not just for unwinnable seats. You don't put women in unwinnable seats. Like, they're elected to make sure that they can get elected into good seats in Parliament. So, yeah, now we've got over 50% of the women MPs in Parliament in the Labor Party are women.
How do you go about the selection process in that sense?
It's an affirmative action policy, so 50% have to be women all the time in the elected positions.
So when you're choosing people for that role, you have to make sure that in the party there is it's a 50-50.
Yeah. We actively go and make sure that we find women to run in roles to make sure that we make that target.
What if and this goes for both genders, by the way, what I'm saying right now, what if there's a point where there isn't enough men for that role or there isn't enough women for that role?
Oh, it happens, but you make it up in other areas. So as long as the number of MPs is 50-50, the number of elected people in positions is 50-50. So there's not a woman to run for that position, then make sure there's a woman that runs for that position that's on the equal standing. It just has to happen. So there usually is. There's always a woman out there that's qualified and capable of doing it.
With the Maritime Union, I want to understand what your role is, in a little bit more depth.
Okay.
So you walk into the office, what does a day in the life look like for you?
So we usually bargain with some of the big employers that are in the industry. So,
Yep.
I mean, right now I'm in the middle of a shipping agreement with one company that looks after 9 ships.
Yep.
So what that looks like is that bargaining commences, the delegates come in from the ships and we sit across the table from the employer and say, okay, this is what we want.
Yep.
Put into our enterprise agreement, and the employer says no. And then we say, okay, well, this is still what we want. And they say no. And then we can go to take what is called protected industrial action after a certain period of time under law, and whatever that action looks like, stopping work or not doing certain tasks, things that can affect the employer's ability to operate their business, and it usually brings them back to the table with a better offer, and the members either accept that offer or they don't, and we keep bargaining. So it can go for a long time, but it can be really hard. The first negotiation I was on was in 2000 with Chris Corrigan from Patrick's across the table from me. I was a young delegate. And that was straight after the 1998 waterfront dispute. I don't know if you remember that. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, okay. Look it up. It's
Incredible. Youth isn't involved.
So in 1998, Chris Corrigan and the Howard Liberal government conspired to sack the whole waterfront in Australia.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the 7th of April, not long ago, it's been the anniversary. The 7th of April, they came in the middle of the night with dogs and security guards and ripped everyone out of their workplace, out of their cranes, kicked them out the gate and sacked them. The whole waterfront was sacked simultaneously in every port in Australia.
This is 98.
Yep, 1998. Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Tasmania and WA, or right around the country. Every port, Darwin, so that was every port.
And what was their reason?
Because they wanted waterfront reform. They didn't want to pay them as much and they wanted to change it and bring in different workforce. And they brought in a scab workforce of people that had been trained overseas, which were part of the army, and they were trained to go and operate the business. So it was a massive blue. If you look it up, you'll be
We were born
amazed.
the year after.
Yeah, there you go. So once you have a look into it, Chris Corrigan's the man I was sitting across from in 2000, bargaining with for our enterprise agreement with Patrick's.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite an extraordinary
Did you
story.
win that? Did you win that negotiation?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Our Wolfies went back to work, and then a week later, the scab workforce that he'd brought in were protesting outside his office because he hadn't paid them either.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
that was a big blue.
All over
that
the
one.
internet. Yeah, and that changed industrial relations in the country. It changed everything. It changed the union movement. It changed everybody. And anyone that was involved in that was a lot of support from both Australian and international unions, community groups. The wives and the families of the waterfront workers had their own women of the waterfront team that would help coordinate the picket lines, and it was quite a moment in Australia's history. And to the sheer fact that an employer was able to conspire with the government to do that,
that's pretty big.
to sack a whole workforce, it's disgusting. So these are some of the people that we've dealt with and we have to deal with, and that's what my job entails, is fighting against bad bosses
and negotiating in that way.
Yeah, to make sure that workers get good, decent, well-paid, secure jobs.
100%.
It's not much to ask for.
It's not. And when the word union gets thrown around, I feel like you get a lot of polarizing reactions from people when they hear that name. Well, what's one big myth that you want to debunk on this podcast? There
are more women union members in the country than there is men. One of the biggest unions in the country is the nurses and teachers. All people, they're not just waterfront workers or construction workers. Union members are everybody. Every single, if you've got a boss, you can be in a union.
Yes.
So, nurses and doctors are in a union. There's, professionals are in a union. We're not thugs. We're not thugs. We're just good people that go and work hard for a living, that want to go home safe to their families at night and want a decent wage to do it. That's all.
Why do you think people...
Sorry, by joining the union, then you can be part of that.
Yeah.
And then the more power we've got, the better paying conditions that we get for workers. So
for everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
Why do you think people have such a negative connotation on them?
I don't think they've ever had a good experience with a union. Or they've never been a union member. If they've been a part of it, they'd know different. And maybe they've had some crappy jobs where there hasn't been a union. Everyone can be in a union regardless of whether there's a union at your work site. But I guess some people in places might have had really bad experience with their employer, and the union did nothing for me, or they've said this. But you've got to be a part of it yourself. You are the union. You've got to be a part of it. I'm not going to walk into a work site that's a non-union work site and just go, hey, how you going? I'm just going to go in there and ask your boss to give you a better pay rise without you joining the union,
Yeah, of course.
So be a part of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what role does a union play in the role of business in Australia?
Our workers keep the business going. I know that for a fact. But, the waterfront and imports and exports into Australia come through the waterfront, and they're all MUA union members. Where your TV comes in and is unloaded by a union member. Yeah, through the waterfront. And that's when I was saying earlier to you that everything's political. Everything is political because some union members had to fight to work on that job that has bought all the things that are in your lounge room right now.
Yes.
You know, so everything around you is being part of politics somehow, if you think deep enough about it.
These mics,
absolutely.
that laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think unions are important because we do, you know, like if our workers are happy, and the employer's workers are happy, then it's going to be a productive workplace.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good business, and it's going to continue on. You know, we also, you know, we're a political institution where we fight for, you know, laws and regulations to be changed for workers as well. So that changes the landscape for business. There's rules that they have to follow because of the fights that we've had, but they're usually good rules and they're good reasons for them. So, yeah.
Do you have any policies that actually help the business owners, or is it more for the workers?
Well, the union is working for the worker. You know, it's not my job to make a profit for the business.
The business.
You know, that's their jobs, and they are paid very, very well to run their businesses.
For that, yes.
Yeah. So no, I'm not employed to do that. But you know, of course, we work together with businesses to make sure that their business keeps going because we want the workers to work there.
Of course.
Yeah. So I mean,
So indirectly, you still do.
Yeah,
in some
of
way.
course. Yeah.
Because the person is the most important part of your job at the end of the day,
The worker. Yep.
the worker. And that's what it all comes down to. It sounds like you've immersed yourself in all this knowledge over the years of experience. How do you go about educating yourself? Is it just through immersing yourself in the industry, or are there ways you learn?
You usually, well, I mean, mine's all been on the job experience. You know, just you know the industry because you've been part of it and you've worked in it. If you don't know a part of the industry, you can ask someone. There's always, you know, someone that will teach you this, you know, and the law regarding industrial relations is 2 big books. It's this thick that, you know, you got to read them too. But you've got to continue to follow on with and keep up with the changes to the laws because it does change a lot.
Really violently? Like,
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes there'll be complete overhauls of the industrial relations laws, and you've got to, you know, restart again. It depends on which government's in too, because there'll be some anti-worker laws that'll be brought in by the Liberals, and then, you know, the policies will change again towards the worker when we get progressive governments in.
Do you feel like Australian politics now is moving towards social media? Do you feel like that's a move?
It is, yeah. There is a lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is probably the first time we've really engaged in TikTok in a federal election, but it is monitored like you wouldn't believe. Like,
wow!
Yeah, both sides are monitoring who's doing what, how many, and there's all those bots out there that are doing all the commenting for them, and you can tell they're not real people. Yeah, it's just, and there must be whole factories of people just pressing like on Peter Dutton's stuff because not that many people like it for sure.
Yeah,
It's quite a machine, and it can be easily manipulated, and people can easily believe mistruths and untruths.
well, it's only like a little 30-second clip.
That's right.
Can really change someone's mind.
It's not even 30 seconds anymore. Like I think attention span's 12.
yeah. It's shortening.
If you don't
shortening.
anyone that gets on a thing to try and say, "Oh, hey, my name is blah 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 blah,"
Yeah.
you've already lost it.
Yeah.
You know, what's your message in the first 3 seconds?
Yeah.
or you're in trouble. It's quite the landscape
Yeah.
to manage. But yeah,
It sounds like it's going to be a fun one.
On TikTok and Instagram and
it's hard.
And into influencers.
Yeah, and then everyone gets the shits with X, so we had to leave all there, and now we're on Blue Sky, and
Oh my god. Now it's just a roller coaster of fun.
yeah, and people can contact you through all of those
Oh my
outlets.
God.
Isn't it great?
It's probably you probably have a fun inbox to go through. The world and the life of you sounds very, very hectic. If there was one message that you could give to the next generation of leaders, what would it be?
Just find what you're passionate about. Find what you want to do, and go and do it. No matter what. No matter what people say to you. No matter what you think about your abilities to do it. Because half the time you'll doubt yourself. Just find what you're passionate about and go do that. And don't live a life doing something you're not passionate about, that you don't love, because it's just pointless.
so take the risk.
Absolute waste. Yeah, absolute waste. I wish I'd started doing what I'm passionate about earlier. I wish I could have cut out that bit of, you know, bank, McDonald's, whatever else I did. You know, there's years there that I could have done more.
You forgot. She'll be right.
She'll be right, mate.
She'll be right,
She'll be
mate.
right. What legacy do you want to leave?
I've always wanted the world to be a better place.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a big statement, but by making the world a better place, that can be a tiny little thing you've changed. And if you just change one little thing that made the world a better place, then
Makes
it's
a big
worthwhile.
difference.
Yeah. Life wasn't wasted.
What do you think about giving more than receiving, like in the way of your work? Do you feel like giving more is rewarding you more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like nobody ever rings a union official to say, hey, how you going? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Nobody ever rings you and asks you that. They've always got a problem. There's an issue or something's happened, and you need to help them fix that. So I think, you do this because you want to do it,
Yeah.
and that's all it's about.
Yeah. It sounds like you're a big advocate for that, for people speaking out about what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. If something's not right, stand up and fight to make it better.
Yeah.
You've got to.
100%. Where can people find you on social media and stuff like that?
Mich-Elle Myers everywhere. MICH-ELLE.
Yep.
Or Mish Myers, MUA is mainly my handle on most things.
Yep.
All the things.
All the things,
They're
all
all
the
there.
platforms.
Yeah.
So because we have a primarily younger audience, how would you teach them to start getting into politics? Where would you advise them to learn or start consuming their content?
The best thing to do is figure out what you're passionate about and then find a political party that
Suit your beliefs.
reflects that. You know, if you have conservative views, then the other mob's for you. You know, if if you've got these sort of issues, like have a look at the policies of the parties and find out which one's yours.
Yeah.
You usually know. You usually know whereabouts you sit anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not. And don't believe in a party just because of the leader of the party or of a particular MP or something like that. Like, go and have a look at the policies of the party. Because
Go
you might not
deeper.
like your local MP, but their party policies might be your policies. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and you might not live in an area that is, you know, that party. You might live in a very, very
Conservative
area. But have progressive views. So you've got to go and find out what's your place. It's the same as finding your place in the world. You just got to find your place in a party and
Find your place, find your people, find your
yeah,
environment.
find your people. Yeah,
Yeah.
find your people. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, once you've created that community around yourself, it's like a little bit uplifting from there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't go to the pub and hang out with a guy that you don't like talking to, right?
Very true. Very true.
Or if one sits down next to you, you move pretty quickly. It's the same as that. You just go and find
Your people.
Find the people that you would have a beer with and have a yarn with and talk about things. And I think, I mean, young people. My niece lives in my house at the moment. She's 22, and she follows a lot of progressive podcasts that have been, and she's been getting a really lot of good information from that.
Oh, there we go.
Because if the truth is not getting out there from the progressive side, then everyone's just going to listen to the bad side or the right,
Yeah.
Yes.
and the far right. And that's dangerous. So,
Do you believe that youth are getting more education through podcasts and YouTube and stuff like that more than school?
yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, everyone's on YouTube,
Yeah.
watching stuff after stuff. And the
Long
more
form, short
things
form.
that you're watching, the algorithm's giving you more of those things to watch. So it's like, don't watch any dumb shit.
Yeah.
Because, you fall into this abyss of
Yeah.
misinformation and rubbish. And that's terrifying too. But so the people controlling our social media are controlling us.
Yes.
Well, I do really appreciate you coming today and opening our eyes to the world of politics. It's been an interesting
journey.
one. It's been an interesting one. I never knew anything about politics prior to this, so coming into it blind and coming out a little bit eye-opened has been a
Would
really
you say
good
you've been
experience.
educated?
I have been educated, yes. Yes, I have. And I hope you enjoyed your time here with us as
It's
well.
been great. Yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. It's really good. So
you have been?
I hope it's been successful and I hope it gets out to people. And it's good.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, watch it on YouTube, guys. Watch it on YouTube, Spotify, and all those other places. And for now, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate
worries.
it. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of the Evolve podcast.
Brendan and I have loved having you throughout this whole podcast. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And if friends are interested, share it around.
Yeah, make sure you share and tag us on your Instagram posts, and I'll see you soon.
See you guys. Little boogie to finish.